The untouchable has been touched. Iran hits an F-35 and changes everything it was supposed to be invisible. $100 million of American engineering, fifth-generation stealth technology, radar-absorbent skin, sensor fusion systems so advanced that the pilot sees the entire battlefield in a single integrated picture. An aircraft so far ahead of anything Iran possesses that its presence over Iranian airspace was, until now, considered essentially risk-free, and then it got hit. An F-35 stealth fighter, one of the most sophisticated combat aircraft ever built, was struck by what U.S. Central Command believes was Iranian fire while flying a combat mission over Iran. The pilot survived. The aircraft made an emergency landing at a U.S. base in the region. The jet landed in one piece, but the narrative did not. The aircraft that was never supposed to be shot down. To understand why this moment matters so far beyond its immediate tactical significance, you need to understand what the F-35 actually represents, not just as a weapons platform, but as a symbol. The F-35 Joint Strike Fighter is the most expensive weapons program in the history of human civilization. The United States has spent over $400 billion developing it. Each individual aircraft costs more than $100 million. It is operated by the United States, Israel, the United Kingdom, Australia, Japan, and a dozen other of America's closest allies, and it forms the backbone of Western air power doctrine for the next generation. Its defining characteristic is stealth. The F-35 is designed to be functionally invisible to conventional radar systems. Its shape, its materials, and its electronic management systems all work together to reduce its radar cross-section to roughly the size of a golf ball. Enemy air defense operators, in theory, cannot see it coming until it is already inside their effective engagement range, and by then, in theory, it is too late. That theoretical invulnerability has been the foundation of every Western air campaign planning assumption for the past decade. It is the reason F-35s were flying combat missions over Iran. It is the reason U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, just hours before news of the incident emerged, could stand before cameras and declare with confidence that Iran's defenses had been flattened and that victory was not just possible but decisive. And now an F-35 has been hit over Iranian airspace. The investigation is underway. Details remain scarce. The precise mechanism by which Iran struck the aircraft, whether through a radar-guided missile, an infrared-guided system, visual acquisition, or something else entirely, has not been officially confirmed. But the fact itself is established. Iran reached into the sky and touched what was considered untouchable. That changes the calculations, not just for this conflict, for every conflict, what hit actually means and why it matters. Before the implications of this incident can be properly assessed, a critical distinction needs to be made, one that the breathless initial coverage has sometimes obscured. The F-35 was hit. It was not shot down. The pilot survived. The aircraft landed under control at a U.S. base in the region. It did not crash. It did not break apart over Iranian territory. The pilot did not eject. This is an important distinction because it affects both the military and the political dimensions of the incident significantly. A downed F-35 wreckage on Iranian soil, a captured or dead American pilot, footage of the debris being displayed for Iranian state television would be a catastrophic event of an entirely different magnitude. It would provide Iran with access to stealth technology, radar-absorbent materials, and classified avionics that represent some of the most closely guarded technological secrets in the American defense establishment. It would produce the kind of imagery that defines conflicts in the public imagination for generations that did not happen. The aircraft landed. The pilot is safe. But here is why the hit still matters even without a shoot-down. The fact that Iran could damage an F-35 at all, that its air defense systems, which the Pentagon has repeatedly described as degraded and suppressed, retained enough residual capability to strike the most survivable combat aircraft in the Western inventory forces. A fundamental reassessment of what suppressed air defenses actually means in practice. Either Iran's air defenses were not as completely neutralized as U.S. officials claimed, or Iran used a method of engagement that does not depend on the conventional radar tracking that stealth technology is designed to defeat. Both possibilities are deeply significant, both require investigation, and both undermine the confident narrative of total American air dominance that has been the central message from Washington since this conflict began. Hegseth's claim vs. reality, the credibility gap. The timing of the F-35 incident creates a specific political problem for the U.S. administration that goes beyond the military implications. Just hours before the incident became public, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth made sweeping claims about the success of the American air campaign. Iran's defenses had been flattened. Victory was decisive. The message from the Pentagon podium was one of complete and overwhelming American dominance over Iranian military capabilities, and then an F-35 made an emergency landing after being struck by Iranian fire. This is not a minor contradiction. This is a direct and immediate falsification of an official claim made at the highest level of the U.S. defense establishment, within hours of the events that contradict it. It raises immediate questions about either the accuracy of the intelligence assessments being provided to senior Pentagon officials, or the honesty of the public statements those officials are making based on those assessments. In either case, the credibility damage is real. Allies who rely on American assessments of battlefield conditions need to know whether those assessments reflect actual conditions or preferred narratives. Adversaries who are calibrating their own military decisions based on their reading of American capability need to factor in the possibility that American capabilities are being overstated, and the American public, whose sons and daughters are flying those missions, deserves accurate information about the actual risk environment their military is operating in. The investigation into the F-35 incident will, in time, provide more clarity. But the gap between what Hegseth said and what happened in the skies over Iran within hours of his statement is a gap that cannot be closed by subsequent messaging, Iran's video message. We have been waiting for this day simultaneously with the F-35 incident. Iran released a video that, taken together with the damaged stealth fighter, constitutes a carefully coordinated strategic communication. An IRGC ground forces commander steps forward. His manner is not agitated or defensive. It is calm, measured, and most unsettling of all, satisfied. We have been waiting for this day for years. This is not fear. This is preparation. 6 words. Parse them carefully, because each one is doing work. We have been waiting. This is not reactive improvisation. This is the execution of a plan developed over years, anticipating exactly the scenario now unfolding. For this day, the day when the United States and Israel attacked Iran directly, the day that Iranian military planners had been told, for decades, to prepare for as the defining scenario of their entire doctrine. For years, the preparation timeline extends back well before this conflict. The missiles, the drones, the asymmetric tactics, the dispersed infrastructure, the hardened tunnels, the decentralized command systems, all of it built, refined, and practiced over years in preparation for a confrontation that Iran's military establishment considered inevitable. This is not fear, a direct response to the American narrative that the strikes are breaking Iran's will and demoralizing its military. This is preparation, the most chilling word in the statement, because if Iran has been preparing for this specific confrontation for years, then what has been seen so far, 40-plus waves of missiles, thousands of drones, strikes on American bases, the shooting of an F-35 may not represent the full extent of what Iran has ready to deploy. The video is not bravado. Bravado is what losing sides perform. This video has the quality of genuine institutional confidence, the calm of an organization that believes it has anticipated the situation correctly and is executing according to plan. Trump's contradictions, an endgame without a map while Iran projects strategic coherence. Washington is projecting something very different. The signals coming from the Trump administration on the question of what comes next in this conflict have been, in a word, contradictory. One moment, Trump claims Iran has been severely weakened and the campaign is succeeding beyond expectations. The next, he suggests that ground troops might need to be sent in. Then he questions whether a ground operation would be worth the cost. Then he implies the conflict will be over soon. Then officials confirm it is far from over. These are not the communications of a government with a clear strategic vision and a defined endgame. They are the communications of a government that has achieved significant tactical military successes and finds itself uncertain about what those successes have actually purchased strategically and how to translate military pressure into political resolution. The Pentagon has moved additional forces into the region. The option of a ground operation is no longer officially off the table, and yet a ground operation against Iran, a country of 90 million people, with mountainous terrain, extensive tunnel systems, a deeply rooted military culture shaped by the Iran-Iraq War, and a population whose nationalism, whatever its views of the Islamic Republic's government, would almost certainly coalesce around resistance to a foreign ground invasion, would be a commitment of an entirely different order of magnitude than the air campaign currently underway. The military logic of a ground operation against Iran is, at best, deeply contested among serious defense analysts. The political logic, in an era of American public exhaustion with open-ended Middle East military commitments, is even harder to construct, and yet without a ground operation, without negotiations, and without a clear mechanism by which military pressure translates into Iranian political capitulation, the question that hangs over the entire American campaign remains unanswered. What is the exit? Iran is still standing, and it knows it. Here is the strategic reality that the F-35 incident, the IRG commander's video, and Iran's continued missile campaign collectively communicate. The United States has struck more than 400 Iranian military and governmental targets. It has killed the supreme leader, senior IRG commanders, nuclear scientists, and security officials. It has degraded Iran's air defense network, struck missile factories, destroyed naval facilities, and disrupted communications infrastructure. By the measures typically used to assess the success of an air campaign, the results have been substantial. And Iran is still launching missiles, still threatening the Strait of Hormuz, still striking American bases, still hitting an F-35 over its own territory, still releasing videos of calm commanders saying they have been preparing for this for years, still, in every meaningful sense, fighting. This is the central strategic problem that the United States and Israel now face, a problem that no amount of tactical military success has yet resolved. Degrading a country's military capability is not the same as breaking its will. Destroying infrastructure is not the same as compelling surrender. Eliminating leaders is not the same as ending an ideology or dismantling a system of governance that has been embedded in Iranian society and state structures for nearly 5 decades. The Islamic Republic has survived the Iran-Iraq War. It has survived crushing economic sanctions. It has survived multiple waves of internal protest. It has survived targeted killings of its most senior military commanders, including Qasem Soleimani in 2020, without any of those events producing the political transformation their architects anticipated. The question of whether this conflict is different, whether the scale of damage now being inflicted, combined with the leadership decapitation strategy, will produce a different outcome remains genuinely open. But the F-35 incident is a reminder that Iran retains capability, and the IRG commander's video is a reminder that Iran retains resolve. Capability plus resolve is not a combination that yields easily to military pressure alone. The question Washington cannot answer. There is one question at the center of this conflict that the United States government has not answered publicly and may not have answered internally. What does winning actually look like? Is it the complete dismantlement of Iran's nuclear program? Iran's air defenses, missile factories, and Shah depots have been struck repeatedly, but its nuclear knowledge, the scientists, the institutional memory, the technical expertise cannot be bombed away entirely. Is it regime change, the overthrow of the Islamic Republic and its replacement with a government that does not threaten Israel or American interests in the region? That is Netanyahu's declared objective. But regime change through external military force has a historical record that should give any serious strategist pause. Is it a negotiated settlement, Iran agreeing to verifiable limits on its military capabilities in exchange for a cessation of hostilities? Iran has explicitly ruled out negotiations with Washington for the foreseeable future, citing the experience of 3 rounds of talks that ended with American strikes on Iranian soil. Is it simply degrading Iran's military capability to a level where it cannot threaten Israel or American forces for a sustained period, a temporary suppression that buys years of relative stability without resolving the underlying conflict? That may be the most achievable near-term outcome, but it is not a resolution. It is a pause. None of these options has been clearly articulated as the official American objective. And without a clear objective, there is no way to define success, no way to know when the mission is complete, and no way to explain to the American public why the costs, financial, military, and human, are being incurred. The F-35 that made an emergency landing somewhere in the Middle East tonight is a $100 million aircraft that can be repaired or replaced. The pilot is alive and safe. But the gap in American strategic thinking that the incident has exposed the absence of a clearly defined, achievable, and politically sustainable endgame is a vulnerability that no amount of defense spending can fix, and Iran, which has been preparing for this day for years, understands that vulnerability very well.